Hello, welcome back to the Daily QCI for February 26th, 2025. Today we're going to talk about the Dreyfus model of skill acquisition, a fun one. So this is just a way to think about your learning process, any kind of skill that you want to get better at. This is one model of how that happens. We're going to talk about another model that has some overlap but more depth at the end. So stay tuned. Let's go through this. So our agenda is going to be to talk about the Dreyfus model, each of the steps involved, and then we're going to compare that to the Dreyfus Ericsson model of deliberate practice and peak performance. So let's get into it here. So the Dreyfus model is a framework that explains how we move from beginner to master. It was developed by Stuart and Hubert Dreyfus in 1980. And it outlines 5 stages of learning. It initially began when they were studying nurses, and over time they just built this model from that. And this has value because it can help hopefully make you feel a bit better about what you're doing in trying to get better at something, knowing that this is one piece of the puzzle. You're going to move through these stages. Some people quicker than others. That's where we can talk about skills and talents, that kind of thing. But ultimately, your progression through this is going to be unique to you. So the 5 stages. Number 1, rule following is the major take home here with the novice stage. You don't have any experience. You're just executing steps. If you're a dentist, you're in dental school. You're following your book of how to do things and you're learning as you go. If you are a new driver, let's say you're 15 years old and you're looking at getting your driver's license, then right now you're going to be memorizing traffic rules and getting acquainted with the gas pedal, the brake pedal, the steering wheel, getting used to those things and having to constantly think about those things. Stage 2, calling the advanced beginner. This is where you're starting to recognize patterns, but you're still going to rely on the instructions. If we want to keep with the dental theme, this is the dental student who is now able to do basics on their own, can make decisions about them, but needs help or guidance with more complicated cases. Stage 3 is called the competent person. In any given field, this starts with being able to make decisions on your own based on the context of the situation. You're able to start to be able to plan ahead and make decisions about what's to come based on your experience. Part 4, proficient. This is where we're starting to be intuitive about what's to come. We kind of know it without having to think about it. A really easy one here is driving. You're able to drive without having to think about taking your foot off the gas and put it on the brake, without turning on your turn signal. Toothbrushing is the same way. Initially, when you learned it, you had to really think about where you were brushing and how you were brushing. As you get older, that becomes intuitive. So you're not relying on strict rules. You're more focused on the outcomes that you want to achieve, whether that's clean teeth or arriving at your destination. Finally, we become an expert. So you've now moved beyond the basic rules. You're looking at the big picture, and you are now a master at the field, whether that's driving, toothbrushing. If you're a dentist, you're now a master clinician. You're able to diagnose multiple things at a glance and make decisions that perhaps others would not even consider. So now let's contrast this with Dreyfus Ericsson's model of deliberate practice and peak performance. So Ericsson, in his book Peak Performance, it's where I learned about it, focuses on the importance and value of deliberate practice and how it's essential in moving individuals from lower levels of competence towards expert level performance. So when we're overlapping that with the Dreyfus model is reliant more on experience, and that expertise develops through experience and pattern recognition, where Ericsson argues that more experience isn't necessarily going to help you, that you need deliberate practice. And that is the key differentiator here. So deliberate practice over time is what is actually going to allow for the intuitive nature that Dreyfus talks about in his advanced models, level 4 and 5. Another important factor here in Ericsson's work is the role of feedback and goal setting. So having more immediate feedback is going to be critical to knowing that you need to change something in order to keep improving. Again, a slight difference from how Dreyfus describes skill acquisition. So the bottom line is that Ericsson's work provides a mechanism for how people move through the Dreyfus model, while the Dreyfus model describes what happens as someone gains experience. So you can use both of these to try to become a master at whatever area you have an interest in. Use deliberate practice from Ericsson, use experience from Dreyfus, move yourself up the ladder or up the mountain. Okay, that was a big one today. I hope it was somewhat helpful. See you tomorrow.